What we have is 3 minutes that you can speak on. I'm going to ask you to come forward. The microphone is actually turned around, so we'll give you some grace to try to get it going. And Josh is our attendee. He's taking care of us today. I just ask for you to be respectful to staff, and we'll just go ahead and go through the public comment time. And I'll call in order that I have the list right now. If you want to go in particular order, I don't really know. I'm just going to go through the list as it is right now. And I apologize if I butcher your name. This one I can actually read. So first public comment would be from Elizabeth Bradley. And we'll keep a timer on 3 minutes. It's not really to guard you at exactly 3 minutes. It's really just keep ordering the flow going. So we'll do our best. And so if I play with my phone, it's not me being rude. I'm just trying to manage that.
All right, well, hello. My name is Elizabeth Bradley. I'm a student here at MCCC. I'm also the co-chair of the GSA club here at the school. I just wanted to deliver this letter from the GSA to the Board of Trustees.
Yeah, you could do with Dr. Forte and then...
Yeah, so he'll make sure he gets it distributed to the rest of us. All right. That's it?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I assume it's one copy that you'll just make copies for us and will deliver it to us. Okay, thank you. Next person is Cindy Godfrey. Did I do that right?
Hello. My name is Sydney Godfrey. I am a student here at MCCC. I am bisexual, gender fluid, and I use she, they pronouns. I'm speaking at this meeting today on behalf of all lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer students that live in Monroe County and attend Monroe County Community College. I'm speaking today because of an issue that affects me as a student here, as well as my fellow LGBTQ+ students and staff. I'm speaking directly to the people that don't want transgender individuals, students, staff, and members of the public alike using the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity. MCC is a college that affords great opportunities to all of its students, celebrating diversity and inclusion, offering amazing accommodations, and having strict policies on harassment and discrimination. I wanted to note that before I introduce that there is an active nationwide attack against all LGBTQ+ individuals in the U.S. right now. According to the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, in 2023, at least 510 anti-LGBTQ+ bills were introduced into state legislatures, 84 that were passed. However, as of Friday, February 23rd, 2024, there have been another 200 that have been introduced, with 4 having been passed in 2024 already. Many more that are soon to follow without doubt. This is directly impacting LGBTQ+ individuals across the country, especially LGBTQ+ students in public education facilities. Most relevant today, on May 25th, 2022, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt approved SB 615, a law that requires students at public schools and public charter schools in Oklahoma to use restrooms and locker rooms that match the sex listed on their birth certificates. This law directly impacted the life of a 16-year-old non-binary student at Owasso High School, Next Benedict. In recent tragic news, on February 7th, 10th grader student Next Benedict was attacked in a school restroom by fellow classmates. There was a physical altercation, but Next went home alive with bruises on their face and scratches on their scalp. However, on February 8th, 2024, Next Benedict passed away from sustained injuries from their head hitting a wall. Policies that allow transgender people to use the correct bathroom, the bathroom that best matches the transgender person's identity, do not legalize harassment, stalking, violence, or sexual assault. This anti-trans rhetoric against people using the bathroom of their choice leads to discriminatory hate crimes against LGBTQ+ individuals. This impacts people and students across the country, leading to more discrimination, detrimental psychological impact, and hostile, violent deaths. There is no excuse for discrimination based on gender identity or expression. Everyone should be able to safely and comfortably use bathrooms and other gendered facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next person is Jay Schumacher.
So, hi, my name is Jay. My pronouns are they, them, and he, him, and I am a gender nonconforming student on this campus. I am here today because the lack of action provided from the board in the past has created some issues in the school, and it has turned a place that I should have to give a second thought about walking into a hostile environment that affects my day-to-day. The college has stated in the email that they respect how I identify, but despite this, if I walked into a men's room, I would be asked to leave. But if I walk into a women's room, I would be glared at. I have been glared at, I will be stared at, and I have been questioned on my existence in that room. Now, the solution provided has been to go to gender nonconforming bathrooms, but as many students and myself have noticed, many other students will glare, stare, whisper, and talk about students that they see going in and out of those bathrooms. I am fortunate enough that I can pass as female in a pinch, so if robbed of all other options, I can kind of close my eyes and pretend that I can exist in the women's restroom, but I feel very uncomfortable being in a space that I do not identify with because that space is not made for me. I want you to imagine that if you go into a bathroom of the opposite gender you identify with, imagine the stares and hostility you would probably face. Imagine the feeling of anxiety and discomfort you would feel being in a space that is not yours. And I feel that every time I walk into a women's restroom, invading a space that was, as many seem to describe, made for my assigned sex. Going further, if I use the unisex bathroom, ignoring the stares and the whispers and the possible confrontation, what if the bathroom is occupied? Under maintenance or broken in some way, which is something that has been happening within this year. You have to understand that having to go find another one in those scenarios is kind of absurd, because I may be in the middle of a class, or I may be going between one building or the next. I don't have time to go play an Easter egg hunt to go find a safe bathroom to use. I'm not going to trek across campus, and I'm not going to hold it. I'm on campus for around 8 hours each time that I'm here, and holding it could be detrimental to my health. That's not something that anyone should have to go through just because somebody has decided that you do not look like you belong in that bathroom. I'm only one experience here on this campus, and I can only speak from that, but as people push the what-if opinions into the light, I feel that it is important to mention that many people do suffer at the hands of other people just because of how they look. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Spencer Like. No mask today, I can see who you are. I remember you from last meeting.
I'm Spencer. I'm a student here and a member of the GSA. I attended last month's meeting and spoke about an experience I had on campus, and I'd like to share more of that experience today. I'm intersex, which means I was not born male or female due to my combination of chromosomes, gonads, and genitals. I am biologically neither. In early September, the lock in the gender-neutral bathroom was broken. When I entered the men's room, I was immediately met with 2 hostile, aggressive students who insisted I was in the wrong bathroom and demanded I leave. I felt unsafe and wasn't willing to risk confrontation, so I left. Next, I went to the women's room, where I was questioned on if I were in the correct bathroom. While describing the incident to a staff member who had encouraged me to file a harassment report, Dr. Forte approached me and asked me to tell him the situation. I described the entire event to him. Rather than help me file a report or give me instructions on how to do so, he gave me the locations of under gender-neutral bathrooms on campus and recommended I use those instead. After last month's Board of Trustees meeting, I was contacted by Dr. Behrens, and on February 2nd, I attended an intake interview with him, Linda Torbay, and 2 student advocates of my choice, where I was told an investigation would be opened to discover why my experience wasn't reported. Since then, I've heard no confirmation of the investigation opening, and I've not been contacted by either Title IX coordinators. I strongly urge the board to forward the investigation and take accountability for the lack of action being taken. I would also like to address the GSA's request for safety while trying to use campus restrooms. I've heard panic regarding younger students interacting with trans college students and a fear of possible sexual and/or physical violence in those interactions. I want to share statistics from a 2019 study from Harvard University, where 3,673 transgender students aged 13 to 17 were interviewed about their school support of trans students and their safety on campus. In schools requiring trans students to use the bathroom and locker rooms matching their biological sex, 36.9% of trans girls and 33.8% of trans boys were sexually assaulted. In schools that allowed students to use the bathroom matching their gender identity, those numbers dropped to 14.9 and 24.5%. In comparison, the national average of sexual assault is 15% of cisgender girls and 4% of cisgender boys. Restroom restrictions place transgender and non-binary students at significant risk of danger and pose no benefit to cisgender students. And promoting the idea will escalate the hostility that I have already encouraged. I encourage everyone here to think about who this argument is affecting. The students like me who don't fit the sex binary and are actively fighting backlash, the students who won't come to campus because they've seen the hostility happening that is being ignored, and the students who will one day come to this college that we need to create a safe environment for. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. This is the one I'm having a hard time reading. I apologize. The name starts with an X. Did you come to the microphone station name? Sorry, on the topic of bathroom. See, it's just the way it's written. I've got really bad penmanship. It's worse than this, but my apologies.
Hello, my name is Zay Luz. I'm a trans man and I go here. I just like to talk about how a lot of the opposing arguments that we're going to hear today are just talking about how trans people make cis people uncomfortable in these spaces, and statistically it just doesn't make sense. There is you can, if you ask trans people about their experiences, you'll know that we are a lot more uncomfortable in these spaces than you are. We go in understanding that it's not safe for us and that we could end up in situations that are detrimental to us. Like I said, I just feel like it needs to be understood that we're people and we're really just trying to use the bathroom at the end of the day. And if people could just show some empathy towards that and just be more understanding, I think we could all just, I don't know, move past this. I don't think it's something worth talking about because nobody wants to. That's it.
All right, thank you. Next person is Reese Johnson.
Hello, my name is Reese Johnson. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a student employee, and I run an organization called PRISM, LGBTQ+ Support, Education, and Resources. So having run this group for the past 3 years, I have had the honor of becoming and meeting friends of many people within the LGBTQ+ community, including trans people as well as people who identify as non-binary. And one thing that I can tell you in complete certainty is that the one thing that trans people need is a restroom. They need a place to go, they need a place to feel safe, and they're allowed to hold those spaces. They're allowed to exist here. So bathrooms pose a much bigger issue for people in the trans and non-binary community, as historically bathrooms were an extremely dangerous place for them. I was reminded of this fact when last week 16-year-old non-binary student Nex Benedict was killed by their classmates in an Oklahoma school bathroom. I think that the most important thing that we can do as humans is be honest and open about our feelings and admit this is not just an issue about bathrooms. So my mom once told me that people fear most what they don't understand, and so it is our job to help people create a better understanding. This is why I work so hard to educate people. I'm not here to argue with you or scream in your face. I am here to stand with you and work with you. So this is why I offer a thing called ally training. So it is a 2-hour curriculum that provides a better understanding and education towards the LGBTQ+ community and other minorities. So if that is something you're interested, I would love to work with you. I am certified by the University of Colorado. And so as a student and an employee of MCCC, I stand here today in support of the GSA, the students, and everything that they stand for. My hope that as the rest of our community can dig deep and find empathy and compassion that I know exists in everyone, and with an open mind choose to be better, to have common human decency. I want to say thank you to the GSA and its supporters for continuously working hard to ensure that this college is safe for everyone, including myself and my friends. To my trans and non-binary friends and peers, to the next Benedicts of this world, you have a place here on this earth, in this town, and especially at this school. We hear you, we love you, and we accept you. But importantly, we will continue to stand up and speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Reese. Next person is Franklin Brooks.
Hello, my name is Franklin Brooks. I'm a non-binary resident of Monroe County. I'm here to show support for the LGBTQ+ students that me and many others in the community feel aren't being properly represented or protected at this college in the wake of pressure from anti-trans and hate groups. I want to begin by reminding everyone that it's incredibly dehumanizing to reduce people down to genitals, although for some I believe that's the point. In 2017, a senior member of the anti-LGBTQ hate group Family Research Council gave the following advice during their annual Voters Summit in Washington, D.C., and I quote, "Trans and gender identities are tough sells, so focus on gender identity and divide and conquer. For many, gender identity on its own is just a bridge too far. If we separate the T, referring to transgender people, from the alphabet soup, we'll have more success." Since then, hate groups, religious extremists, right-wing voters, politicians have focused their bigotry on trans people and the progressive change and freedom they embody. A recent crime statistics report released by the FBI shows that the number of hate crimes in schools from 2018 to 2022 rose rapidly, nearly doubling over the 5-year period and accounting for 10% of all hate crimes in the country. 2023 marked the 4th consecutive record-breaking year for anti-trans legislation in our country, and a 33% jump in reported hate crimes based on gender identity over the previous year. This is blatantly clear that this has nothing to do with bathrooms, clothes, signs, flags, or anything like that. This is just oppressive hate and willful ignorance. If you are comforting bigots, you are supporting their hate. This is a community institution of education. I ask you to do better, lead by example, help save lives, and proudly teach acceptance of LGBTQ+ people.
Thank you, Franklin. Katie Beth Davis.
Hi everyone. Hi, just want to say hi. I have a lot of my buddies in here. And so I'm Katie Beth Davis. I'm here as an alumni, and I'm also here to support the students that attend this college. I've been honored with being on the alumni advisory board for the students, and I've got to meet with them and got some great students here. I'm extremely proud of everyone who has spoken up on this issue. I can't explain what it's like to see people fighting and speaking and letting your voices be heard. I just wanted to really say that it's Black History Month, and here we are talking about segregation. It only ended 60 years ago, and if you put it into perspective, I'm sure there's probably some 60-year-old people in this room. So here we are today talking about segregation. And we all know Monroe is a little behind with the times. You know, it happens. It's been historically proven that we're just not as progressive as the rest of the state is. But I'm glad that with what is going on in our blue state, that with the expansion of the Elliott Larson's Rights Act and everything that's going on, that we bring it in to get with the rest of the team. Because trans rights are human rights, Black rights are human rights, we're all people, we're all humans, we just want to live and use the bathroom. So thank you so much, and I just really wanted to say, anybody that would oppose that the bathrooms be gender neutral are the same people that support discrimination in other forms. So keep using your voices, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for that. Getting close to the end here, so Jenny Shalander?
Pretty close.
Thank you.
My name's Jenny Shylander, and I'm a 30-plus year resident of Monroe County, a retired school counselor from one of Monroe County's 9 public school districts, and the parent of 2 adults who attended Monroe County Community College. I currently work part-time as a success coach here at Monroe County Community College. This evening I speak representing my own personal views as a parent. I speak tonight in support of the students of MCCC, particularly those who identify as gender diverse and LGBTQ+. I'm heartbroken to hear that these students have been experiencing harassment in the restrooms on our campus. As parents, we're always concerned for the safety of our children when they're out of our sight. As the parent of a person who identifies as non-binary, my worry is compounded. I shouldn't have to worry about them exercising the right so basic as using a public restroom with confidence that they, as a trans person, will be safe from harassment or worse. However, at this moment in this MCCC website, protect our gender diverse and LGBTQ+ students by listening to them and taking the actions that they ask for. In this moment, as well as every day, we are called to be our best selves as we all participate in MCCC's mission to enrich the lives of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. One more. Jenna, what's up?
Dr. Gray.
You're the anchor.
Oh, it says North.
So Gray as well, sorry.
We're doing it together. Good evening. My name is Jenna Bazell.
And I'm Melissa Gray. We both use she, her pronouns. Our comments do not reflect the views or opinions of any organization we might be a part of. We're speaking to you tonight as citizens, members of the community, and as part of the LGBTQ+ community. We're also speaking as allies to transgender, non-binary, and other gender diverse people. The last time we addressed the board, we spoke about the signs GSA posted on restroom doors that were an attempt to stop and prevent harassment. However, our concerns are beyond signs. Our hearts are broken for the students of MCCC. Many LGBTQ+ students at the college have survived a lot of bullies. In the face of a national and local wave of moral panic about gender, targeting gender youth in particular, MCCC students have been endangered and left to fend for themselves. The MCCC administration, which includes the president, cabinet members, and the board of trustees, will be referred to as MCCC administration. The administration has not confronted and corrected transphobic propaganda and instead has colluded with baseless fears. The administration has also focused on the feelings of those peddling transphobic misinformation and done little to show support to students or try to reduce the actual dangers to campus. The administration has compounded the harms of real harassment and bullying. The college's actions and inactions are also dangerous in at least two ways. First, they take attention away from the real risks to those who are being harassed and assaulted. Second, they allow placing the attention and fear onto innocent people who are trying to manage the essential functions of their lives, putting a target on the backs of transgender and gender diverse students on this campus.
The college's statement on restroom access was only released after the president and board of trustees was called on to do so at the January 2024 board of trustees meeting, where now an identified Title IX violation was disclosed. The MCC administration only has two choices. The administration can continue to ignore the harassment and the bullying happening on this campus, or they can investigate the bullying and harassment and determine what led to ignoring the problem for at least several months. The MCC administration can continue to remove the signs from restroom doors and continue to say there will be no signs on the restrooms, or allow and promote the GSA signs calling for respect in the restrooms. The MCC administration can continue to remove the banners and oppose initiatives that promote respectful behavior in the restrooms, or endorse inclusivity and acceptance within all gendered campus restrooms. The MCC administration can continue to push students aside and prioritize both national and local politics, or request and listen to the concerns of LGBTQ MCC students. The MCC administration can continue to collude with community members about the historical moral panic about gender, or you can choose students. You can choose them.
All right, thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Melissa. So I think we had somewhere an update from Dr. Corte. I think this is probably where you want to do it then.
Yes. Good evening, and can you hear me? This goes beyond an update. I want to. Can you hear it?
No.
This goes beyond an update. Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. So indulge me for a minute or a couple of minutes while I tell a personal story. Well, first of all, safety is priority one on our campus. And I don't want anybody to minimize any part of my story, but I'm going to tell a very personal story here. The year was 1987. I was a PhD student at Mississippi State University, completing my final year. My fraternity, the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, one of the few black fraternities on campus, the same one that Dr. King and Thurgood Marshall pledged. We became the first fraternity at Mississippi State to have a house on Fraternity Row. The first 2 nights that we were there, we heard commotions. We heard some commotion outside. There were 4 of us in the house. My brothers were to go out and face these individuals. It was the white fraternities outside, using expletives and the N-word. I can't use that word. Calling us the N-word and using expletives against us. I was in the house. I was a little older. I was the voice of reason, 20 of them, only about 4 of us. It wouldn't make for a good battle. We called the authorities. They came and dispersed them. But the next night they came back. And they came back over and over and over. You know how we resolved that issue? For our own safety, for our peace of mind, and for our sanity. We moved. We had every right to be on Fraternity Road, but we moved. The true story, 1987. That's some of what I've gone through. But there are other stories that I don't want to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, about my own 20-year-old in 2022 here in Monroe who was attacked physically at a local eatery just because he looked like me. I'm not going to tell you the story of the 3 black young men that I brought here to Monroe in 2014, and they were compelled to leave campus. They were compelled to leave campus because they were accused of stealing a basketball in our gym. I asked them, where did you put it, in your pocket? That happened here. I'm not going to tell you that story. And I'm not going to tell you my own personal stories here. My own personal stories here in Monroe. Some of us lived through attempts at minimization, dehumanization, and robbing us of our dignity and every day of our lives. Some of us live that every day. So how are we not supportive of others like us in many ways? And by that I mean blacks, Hispanics, immigrants, and members of the LGBTQ community. Those who tend to be minimized, demonized, dehumanized. Instead of being humanized, they are dehumanized. Restroom use. Some of us went through this. And this was before I was born, in the 1920s. Some of us, people who looked like me, weren't allowed to use restrooms with people who looked like the majority of people in here in this room, and I think there's been allusion to that already. We need to affirm the humanity and dignity of every single person in here. I support my students. I support students, all the students in here, be they LGBTQ, black, white, or any other color. My job is to be supportive of the students, not just a job. And for me, it's more than a job. It's a vocation. As a public institution, let me make this clear, we cannot circumvent or disregard the law. The Elliott-Lawson Act is clear. Our sister institutions across the state and around the country are not having this problem. They fought this battle 3, 4, 5 years ago. We surveyed the other institutions. I surveyed them recently. They are well past the stage. All I want to do is keep our campus safe for everyone. What are our core values? Dignity and respect of everyone on our campus. And our core purpose here is to educate. And we need to do more of that through more conversations, more education, more interactions, some training. And I am not your enemy, and I don't think we are each other's enemy. All of last week I was at Harvard at a crisis management and higher education class. We heard from presidents whose lives have been threatened on a variety of issues. I am fortunate that at least my life has not been threatened, and that the lives of my children have not been threatened here in this community. But the danger comes from those who don't threaten, but then act. That's where the real danger comes from. For me, what hurts most, and I heard another president say this, what hurts most is having people that you care about and are trying to protect turn against you. That's for me, that's what hurts. Have I been here? Have I been in a situation like this before? As a human being, as a person who walks around looking like I do? here in this community? Most certainly, constantly and consistently. So you're trying to be a good person and you do the right thing, and it backfires as attempts are made to tear you down. Unfortunately, some of us are easier to dehumanize. Unfortunately. Let's work together instead of against each other. Let's offer each other just a little bit of grace as people try to just simply use the restroom. That's what you're trying to do. Use the restroom. We shouldn't be political. And I have offered to meet with GSA and their advisors, and so far, they have not agreed to meet with me. I remain the resident optimist. I remain the resident optimist here, and I have to be. And will continue to remain that in spite of the slings and arrows from all directions. So what have we done? We have built several single-use restrooms on campus with more coming, and the information has been, on the restrooms has been updated recently on our website. We have surveyed other schools, and this is not a hot issue on their campuses, at least from the schools that we surveyed. Not at Harvard, where I was last week, and not at Gogebic or Alpena or any of the other institutions. We have posted locations of single-use restrooms on our website and provided an emergency number that anyone with concerns can call or text. And this is one of the suggestions that came out of that public meeting we had. We have crafted statements, one for inside the restrooms, one to go outside the restrooms, affirming the right of individuals to use the restrooms as designated by law. I support all students. And I want to say this and be very unequivocal about this. The college affirms the option of individuals to use the restroom that corresponds to their gender identity. That's the law, and we cannot circumvent that. That's simply the law. And so with that, I don't know if people get a chance to ask me questions or not, but I'll leave it at that.
We can go there if that's what you want. But to circle back at my comment to follow up from the meeting, there's an ongoing process between the board and the president of getting educated on the topic, and also addressing some of there's a gap in people's understanding, whether they be students' understanding, other people's understanding of things. I think there's an ongoing process, not just signage, but an ongoing process to try to figure out how to do that, right?
I simply want to ensure safety on campus. That's what I want to ensure. Is there a comment?
Permission to approach the board.
Yep, he's invited to question, Jenna, so he can.
It's a point for clarification.
Yes.
The GSA co-advisors have never received an invitation from you to meet about this. I believe a week ago, you reached out to a GSA co-chair who has replied to you.
But you have never reached out to its advisors about what is going on this campus. We were not reached out. In 2019, we were not, well, we were at that point in time, but we were not reached out now.
I don't want to go back and forth on this, but
There's no
we
reason
reached
to.
out to the DSA. I believe it was the chair or the co-chair. And then I attempted to, I think with LT, there was an attempt to be in a meeting with, I believe it was the both of you, right? Scott was supposed to be there, and I was going to be there in Scott's place.
I've had a number of meetings with Jenna and Melissa and said over 2 or 3 times that you wanted to meet with GSA. I did say that 2 or 3 times.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll just allow that conversation to continue outside this meeting, but we can take this as an open invitation now, at a minimum, right? So the invitation is at least now.
I would like to meet with GSA.
Okay, so if nobody objects on the board, we can move forward. All right, we're done with the public comment time, and we'll go ahead through the agenda.